Hello people, this is Sonali, the Melodramatic Bookworm. If you've been here before, welcome back, and if you're new to my channel, welcome to the Melodramatic Bookworm family. I am here today with my January 2021 wrap-up, the very first wrap-up of 2021, and I cannot believe that the first month has gone by this fast. And I was so busy, I was not able to read as many books as I would have liked to. I ended up reading 10 books in their entirety, and I'm in the middle of 4 others because I'm like that. But I must say that I found some absolute favorites in January, and I'm still excited that I read them and I love them so much. So without any further ado, let's get into this video and let me share with you all the books that I read in January 2021. Also, I'd just like to say before I start this video that if you'd like to buy any of these books, then please use my Amazon affiliate links in the description box below. The price remains the same for you, but I get a small commission off of every purchase that you make, so please help a creator out. See, to be honest, my reading year didn't start off that great. I started with a book that I was super annoyed by. Like, what even is the point, it felt like. And the book I'm talking about is Here is the Beehive by Sarah Crossan, and this is a novel in verse, and it talks about 2 people and their families. The woman main character is a lawyer of sorts, and she falls for a client who is married. Both of these are married, by the way. And then they set out on this affair, and then he dies, I think, and leaves nothing to her, no memories, nothing, and all of that. And this whole book talks about how she is dealing with that. I did not like this book because using death by accident as a convenient plot point to further what was not working already did not sit right with me. And I don't like reading about infidelity, especially if it's being done against good people. At least break it off with them before pursuing something else. No, be fair to them. You know what, if the author had used these elements in combination with some other good elements, then it would have turned out into a much better read. See, it's pushing the notion that it's okay to get carried away by love, which happens, which is not in our control, but breaking other people's hearts and disregarding the people around you. But this book, Here is the Beehive, 2 stars, obviously. Next up is Hidden in Plain Sight by Jeffrey Archer. This is the second in the William Warwick series, and this follows newly promoted Detective Sergeant William Warwick and his adventures and how he goes around catching criminals. But he has a big fish he needs to catch right now, and he's also in a moral dilemma. And that's all I'm going to say about this book, because this is the second in the series and I don't want to spoil it. But Jeffrey Archer, man, he left this book also on a cliffhanger, okay? So be very prepared. And his writing is so fast. He gives you twists that you absolutely do not expect. Like, you turn and you're like, oh, classic Jeffrey Archer. How did I not see it coming? But even after reading tons of his books, you still feel the same way because he has that freshness to his writing. But I must say that if you want to pick this book up, then please do go and read Nothing Ventured, the first in this series. If you are reading this as a standalone, don't do that. There will be a lot of loose ends that you will be really frustrated by. But read both and fun is guaranteed. And also, obviously, cliffhanger. Sir did it. I gave Hidden in Plain Sight 4.25 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read in January was Khaki in Dust Storm by Amod K. Kant. This is the first in the Police Diaries series. And Amod Kant in this book talks about his experiences as a police officer. He's a celebrated police officer, and how he handled the tumultuous history of India in the 80s and the early 90s, including the Sikh riots, Indira Gandhi's assassination, the assassinations of major political leaders of those times, Rajiv Gandhi's assassination, and several bomb blasts that occurred throughout the 80s and 90s. And this opened my eyes to so many truths of Indian history per se, and of Indian politics as well. The author sheds light on a lot of incidents, and he talks about terrorism and how the Indian police worked during those times to curb these and all the people involved in making these decisions. He talks about the number of changes that he wanted to bring as a policeman and what he has been doing since, and the NGO that he runs, it's called Prayas, I think, and all the social work that he has been doing. And in this book he has created a fictional journalist called Aradhana Hurpikar, and he does this in a sort of an interview kind of thing where she asks the questions and he is answering all of them. And it was a really interesting way of putting an autobiographical account. I was part of the review team for this book with Bloomsbury India, and I did a full review of this book on my Instagram page. If you'd like to go check that out, I leave the link to that post in the description box below. I gave Khaki in Dust Storm 4 out of 5 stars. Next up is An Exaltation of Larks by Suzanne Lacquer, and this is the first in the Venery series, the second of which I read in 2018. It is called A Charm of Finches. An Exaltation of Larks is the story of Alex, who has escaped Chile from Augusto Pinochet's really dictatorial rule, and he has been throwing people into concentration camps, he has been torturing them and all that, and Alex manages to escape through a contact at the US Embassy. So he escapes to his uncle's house in America, and his uncle brings him up and he becomes friends with the Larks, Valerie and Roger. But something happens which causes Valerie and Roger's parents to take Alex on as a foster kid, and then now comes into the picture Javier. So how all of these people become friends and how their relationships evolve and how they become so intricately entwined forms the entire story. It talks about trauma, it talks about homophobia. There's so many things that the author has handled in these books, and every single one of these characters has become dear to me. Suzanne Lacquer's writing I'm a fan of ever since I read A Charm of Finches. There's also another of her books in this list, and that book broke me, man. You will see what I have to say about that book, but this is also a book that made me feel all warm and mushy inside. It is fast-paced. You just want to find out what is happening. I would highly recommend this book, but please be careful while you're reading it. I gave An Exaltation of Larks 4.25 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read in January was Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds and illustrated by Chris Priestley. This is the story of Will, whose older brother Sean is shot and killed in broad daylight. And now Will wants revenge against the people who he thinks have murdered his brother. On his way down in the elevator, he encounters a lot of his past, which makes him question his own motivations and whether he has thought through about what the repercussions are going to be. I would suggest please listen to the audiobook because Jason Reynolds is phenomenal and it broke my heart. I was reading the book as I listened to the audio and it was an amazing experience. The writing might seem very simple to you, but it is so powerful, so hard-hitting when you actually put everything together. I loved it. And by the time I came to the afterword, I was like, okay. Jason Reynolds, he talks about how gun violence personally affected him and everything that we need to do to make the situation better. And to hear him narrate his pain and put it on paper and in audio, it sort of broke me a little because you could hear the pain in his voice, okay? If you are a fan of novels in verse, and even if you are not, please do go ahead and read this. This is a phenomenal book. I give Long Way Down 4.5 out of 5 stars. My next read of January was A Scarcity of Condors by Suzanne Lacquer. This is the third in the Venery series and this was a NetGalley arc. This is the story of Jude Tollet and his family. They escaped Chile when Jude was just a baby and his parents suffered inexplicable traumas at the hand of Augusto Pinochet, the dictator who took over Chile, and his soldiers, and they end up in Vancouver, Canada. But as he's growing up, when he is trying to find out his own sexuality, he's trying to discover himself, a lot of people start to bully and harass him. and this causes them to flee yet again, and now this time they end up in America. Jude's past as well as his parents' past are both hurtling at them, and they are about to join hands and come at them like a battering ram. Will they be prepared for it? Forms the entire story, and this is a very bad gist. But the thing about Sue Ann Lacquer's writing is that she brings together everything very well. And I finished this book at 5 in the AM and I let out such a startled yelp, and I went because she made a connection that I really was not expecting, and I went I started crying, and I tagged her in an Instagram story as well, saying how dare you do this to me and all of that. I feel very bad now. All of her characters, I love them so much. I just want to give them a big hug and squish them. Sue Ann Lacquer knows how to bring out those emotions from the very bottom of your heart, okay? But the thing is, while I was reading this book, I was like, why is it repetitive? But then when she got to the point, I lost my mind. I I don't know if I've sold this series to you already, but you should definitely give the Venery series a try, because it's that much amazing, it's that warm, and it will give you a tight hug. It is waiting to tackle you with love. Please go and read. I gave A Scarcity of Condors 4.5 out of 5 stars. Next up, I'm going to be talking about 2 books of the same series because I don't want to separate them. How is that even? Okay, the books I'm talking about is The Ember in the Ashes and A Torch Against the Night by Sabaa Tahir, the first and the second in the Ember Quartet. And these books destroyed me. I cried like a baby. A vlog for these is coming on Saturday. Please stay tuned for that. You can see me babbling away at these books and crying, and it's not even just pretty sniffling sobs. It's like proper outright that kind of sobs. But Sabaa Tahir knows, okay? She is a cruel author in the best way possible, if that's even a thing. I'll tell you the story of An Ember in the Ashes. Elias Viturius, who is a mask of the Empire. He is training at Blackcliff Academy and to be a mask. They are one of the most feared soldiers ever. And Laia is a scholar who is living in fear because she doesn't know what the marshals are going to do to her family. Marshals are the ruling class, the people who are ruling the empire at the moment, and the scholars are the one who have been defeated. Laia's brother is taken, her grandparents are killed, and now she is on the run. She must take the help of the resistance who is fighting against the empire to help save her brother. But when Elias and Laia's paths cross, they realize that whatever they do, it will affect the empire as a whole. So they have to decide what to do forward. Another bad gist. But this is, oh my god, I am enjoying it to no end. I am laughing with them, I'm smiling with them, I'm crying with them, I am getting angry at them, I'm getting angry on their behalf. I've given both of these books 5 out of 5 stars. And this whole series is going to get one big 5 out of 5 stars. Because it's chef's kiss. The next book that I read in January was Heartbones by Colleen Hoover. Heartbones is a story of Bea, whose mother is an addict and whose father hardly is in touch with her. But when her mom dies of an overdose, Bea doesn't have any other option than to call her father and to live with him for the summer. And there she meets Samson. They begin to form a connection, and they begin to form this thing where they understand each other. They are pulled towards each other because of the sadness that lies between both of them and the sadness that lies within both of them. But obviously fate has other plans, no? So it all sinks their plan and all of that. I think that is about the gist that I am willing to give you, because other than that the whole story will be spoiled. I'm scared that I've already spoiled the story by now, but there's so much to it because Bea, her relationship with the world is not as great because she has been living with a mother who has not been prioritizing her. She has always been absent, and Bea has had to make her way in the world right from a very young age, and she knows that if she doesn't fend for herself, then the world is going to tear her down. Colleen Hoover knows how to write emotions. She knows how to pack it into a book, and that's what happened with this book as well. And You might think, why the word heart bones? Hearts don't have bones. But read this book and you will understand what it is that she means by heart bones. It's brilliant. I gave Heart Bones by Colleen Hoover 4 out of 5 stars. My last read for January was a disappointing one. Like, I started and ended the month with disappointing reads, it feels like. And the book is Shuggie Bain by Douglas Stewart. I mean, what was this? This book should have been called Agnes Bain, because this book is completely about Shuggie's mother, Agnes, who is a severe alcoholic. That reminds me, there are a ton of trigger warnings for this book, including severe alcoholism, homophobia, domestic abuse, sexual assault, rape, pedophilia, drug use, suicidal attempts. This is the story of not Shuggie Bain. This is the story of Agnes Bain, who left her first husband along with her 2 kids and ran off with Shug Bain, Hugh Bain, who is also called Shug. And she has a kid with him and they call him Shuggie. He's also named Hugh after his father, so you see. And his step siblings Catherine and Leek, they find ways to escape his mother, but Shuggie, he stays back and he is forced to look after his mother when it should be the opposite way around. And Agnes doesn't look like she is coming out of it anytime soon, and this whole story revolves around that. And I did not like it that much. I was very annoyed by this book because at no place whatsoever is it shown that what effect this is having on Shuggie. Given I understand that you want to show that this is the effect that Agnes Bain is having on the little Shuggie Bain. He is not the center of the story. In some chapters, he's not even there. It could have been phrased in a much better manner, right? Like, if you are saying that Shuggie is someone who is now taking care of his mother, then you should tell me what Shuggie is thinking about. I mean, you put Agnes in the not so far background. You use her, but as a tool to show us what Shuggie is feeling. The personality traits, we don't know much about them except for the very basic ones. It was super explicit in some places and it was very disturbing in a lot of other places. I gave Shuggie Bain 2.5 out of 5 stars. No man, this was just not for me. Nope. Those were the books that I read in January 2021. Which of these have you read? Which ones did you like? Which ones did you not like? Which is your favorite book of January? What books did you get to reading in January? Which books will you be reading for February? What are you currently reading? Which was your least favorite book of January? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Also, don't forget to use my Amazon affiliate links in the description box below if you'd like to go buy any of the books mentioned in this video, because I get a small commission off of every purchase that you make. Please help a creator out. Thank you. If you like this video, please like it and share it to spread the word. And if you like my content and would like to see more from me, don't forget to subscribe and click on the bell icon beside the subscribe button to get notified as and when I post new videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Until next time, keep reading, keep watching, and add melodrama to your life.